Hello, I hope you are having a wonderful day. If you know it, say it with me. I got my coffee. I got my Bible. Of course, I have you. And I'm just going to be honest with you. This is the last cup of coffee I'm drinking today. It is hot outside, so I'm going to have something else the rest of the day. Today is National Celebrate Your Marriage Day. And listen, I just want to celebrate my wife just for a second. For those of you who live in the Bowling Green area, you're part of the RLC community, you understand how amazing my wife is. But if you don't live close to here, you never met her, my wife is an absolute treasure. She is the other half of my brain. I tell people that all the time. That I've always told her, listen, if you ever decide to leave me, let me know because I'm going with you. You know, I love her so much. I'm so very thankful for the marriage that we have built together. And I just want to make sure and say I love you so much. And if you have any sense at all and you are married, make sure and tell your spouse how much you appreciate them. Okay? All right. Welcome to the Gospel of John. Today we are looking at chapter 19. And this is a great, devastating chapter at the same time. This is the chapter that talks about the crucifixion of Jesus, which was a really good day for all of us, not such a good day for him. And so I'm curious what hit you in this chapter. There are so many great things, but I want to tell you the one that hit me, and that is, how many of you have ever watched Batman? I want to know in the comments below, and nothing would bring me greater joy than if we got into a good-spirited debate over who is the best Batman, okay? Is it not Matthew West, what is his name? The guy who had the tights, that Batman, the one from Michael Keaton, that was the first Batman I was exposed to. Christian Bale, Val Kilmer, George Clooney. Was there another Batman? I don't know. They got this new one that's supposed to be coming out at some point. Then you go Ben Affleck, to me, one of the worst Batmans. I don't know. I just didn't like him as Batman. My favorite's Christian Bale, even though my first experience with Batman was Michael Keaton. But Christian Bale, man, I just feel like he's Batman. I don't know. Anyway, you see especially those three Batmans. You've got the Dark Knight, the one with the Joker, which may have been the Dark Knight. Anyway, the point is the Dark Knight Rises, when you got Bane, he's got the thing, I was thinking about that movie when I was reading this chapter, and I want to share this with you. I'm coming back to it, okay? Jesus is talking to Pilate. Pilate is in charge of this area. Let me explain this to you. He would be like the mayor of Jerusalem, even though they don't really want him there. Okay, so the Romans had come in and had taken over Jerusalem and Israel, and the Israelites, the Jewish people, they don't like being ruled very much. And so there had been these different rebellions, one with the Maccabees, where they take back over for a season, then they're conquered again. And so the Roman Empire realizes these Jewish people, man, they ain't no joke. And so they're having to watch them, and they're always, seems like they're just one step away from anarchy and step away from rebellion. That's why the Pharisees were so worried about Jesus, is they thought Jesus was coming to do another rebellion, even though he had much bigger plans than that. And so the Roman governor, Pilate, needed to be someone who was both well-connected to the Roman Empire, but also kind of a hard man, because he had a pretty hard position. And this guy, Pilate, was both of those things. And he didn't like the Jewish people very much. And there was constantly back and forth, all this stuff. And so when the Jewish people bring him one of their own, he's not necessarily excited about helping them a whole lot. But at the same time, he does want to appease them. So there's this political thing that's going on that you don't always get just reading the story. But he sees something different in Jesus. And in another gospel, we find out that Pilate's wife has been tormented with these dreams about Jesus. And she says, have nothing to do with this man. Let him go. And he wants to let Jesus go. But every time he wants to let Jesus go, the Pharisees keep on saying, hey, if you let him go, you're no friend of Caesar, because he is going to try to rise up and do a rebellion, which is not true at all, but they're trying to get the Romans to kill Jesus. And so he keeps on trying to figure this thing out. And finally, when he realizes that they say Jesus is claiming to be a king, he's terrified, because he knows there's something special about this guy, Jesus. And so he takes Jesus back into a private place, and he says this in John chapter 19, verse 11. Well, before that, he's saying, listen, don't you understand? I'm trying to set you free, but you're not talking to me. You're not helping me. And then he says, do you not realize I'm the one who has the power to either set you free or crucify you? And then Jesus says this, John 19, verse 11. He says, then Jesus said, you would have no power over me at all unless it were given you from above. And now back to Batman. There's this part when Bane, the villain, is taking over Gotham City, and there was this politician, banker guy who thinks he's in charge, and he's pointing his finger at Bane, the villain, and he's like, I own you, I'm in charge of you, and Bane just stops, puts his hand on the guy's shoulder and says, do you feel in charge? That is the worst Bane impersonation ever. But he stops him and says, you really think you're in charge? Do you feel in charge? And you can see the look on this guy's face. No, I don't feel in charge at all. And that's kind of what I got out of this, is Jesus is kind of looking at this guy who's acting like he's in charge, and he's saying, wait, do you really think you're in charge? Do you think you'd even be here if this wasn't all part of my plan, buddy? And he's not being rude. He's just saying it like it is. He's saying, listen, there's a plan here that is a whole lot bigger than you. So you do your part, and I'll take care of the rest. And the reason why that spoke to me is because so many times we look at our issues as the issue. Many times the issue is not the issue. It's the way we look at our issue that's the issue. Explain it like this. Let's say you lose your job. Not a good day, not a good thing, bad stuff. Well, if you look at losing your job as the worst thing ever and more powerful than God and more powerful than anything else, well, you have every right to be devastated. But when you realize that God is in charge of more than just Sunday, He's in charge of everything, then you can start seeing your issue as something different. And you no longer see losing your job as the worst thing that could ever happen and you'll never recover, but you start going, okay, God, well, you're in charge of all things. You've got this covered. And so me losing my job is not the end of the world. It's just an opportunity for you to do something else. And so I don't like it. I don't want it, but it's not the end of the world because my job is not what's in control. You are what's in control. So I'm going to do everything I can to find the next one, but I trust you with the difference. And so you take the power away from the problem, and you understand the problem is just another component to God's plan in your life. And that's what Pilate was. Pilate thought he had all the power, but what he realized is he was just another piece in Jesus' master plan. So what if today, this is the hope that it gave me, what if today, instead of looking at your problem as the problem, you look at your problem as just another component of God's big plan for your life? That's what spoke to me today. Do you feel in charge? No, Jesus is in charge. All right, listen, I love you so much. I want to know down in the comments below what spoke to you today. I don't know what it's going to be. I tell you what I do know. Jesus loves you more than you can imagine. He's for you more than you realize. You're probably doing better than you realize. You know why? Say it with me. You got up one more day. You know what else I know? God has not changed His mind about you. I can't wait as we get further into this. We're almost at the end. 2 more chapters left to go in the Gospel of John. Let's talk about it again tomorrow, right here on Daily Hope.